of course, from The Athletic. He joins us every week, Anthony Slater. How you doing, Anthony Slater?
I'm great. I like the old school Kings logo tonight, considering who they're playing.
Yeah, we'll see. Michael Cooper right down there. We just talked to Michael.
Oh, and Michael Thompson?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Michael Cooper's on tomorrow. We
Yep.
just talked to Michael Thompson, and he brought up some of the old days and the way things used to go, and he got some of our audience kind of riled up. So you know how that goes.
Michael Thompson is one of my favorite guys in the league to talk to. I go on their radio show sometimes when it's Warriors Lakers.
Okay.
He is opinionated,
right? Yes.
I particularly loved his opinions when his son also played for the Warriors. That was always
right.
Yes. Let me ask you about your King souvenir soda cup. Is it half empty or half full after the Denver game?
Oh, I would say it's like half full in a sense of like I do think the offense with Monk in the starting lineup is rediscovering its groove. I know they haven't played the best string of opponents or defenses but prior to the to the Denver game, but it just looks better. It looks a little bit more like a couple years ago. I think Herter's found a little bit of a rhythm. Obviously, he's been out recently, probably going to play tonight. But the offense looks like it's super high octane again. Mm-hmm. And that to me is almost how they have to try to get into the playoffs, really.
They've lost a lot of close games. Are you surprised by that with two clutch players and DeAaron and DeMar?
A little. Yeah. Like the other night, part of the reason you get a DeMar DeRozan is he's going to bring you over the finish line. You would think. In key moments of the season. That was kind of a key moment of the season the other night. It's tough because it's not your traditional DeMar DeRozan late in the game. I'm going to go get my 17-footer and, create my own shot. It's cutting, slashing, catching, finishing.
Right.
Drops the pass. That's if he catches and dunks that, they're over 500 today. Yeah. Under 500. That's yes, to answer your question. I thought that was one of their strengths. They were going to be a positive clutch time team that maybe was +5 at the end of the season. They won 5 more games than they lost in this situation. Right now, what are they? Did I hear they were 3-9 in games decided by
5 or less? Yeah.
That dictates a season. That changes 4 seedings in the standings at the end of the year.
Yeah. Anthony, not to get too wonky, but going back to that last play, obviously they missed the shot, but they got a great shot. I love that set that you have first. DeAaron with the pick and roll. So DeAaron, if they don't defend that well, he can go to the basket. You get it to Domas, and he dishes it, and you get what would have been a great shot, maybe even a layup. And even with the fumble, you still got a good shot on the other side. Didn't go in, but I love that play design.
Yeah, no, that's as good as you can ask. That's better than your normal double team 19-footer
off the 1-4 flat. Yeah,
that has 24% chance of going in. You replay that possession. That's probably a 75% probability of scoring. Even if, I like the Sabonis pass because it looked like it was a catch and layup or dunk, especially with, Aaron Gordon was a little bit moved out of the play and Jokic isn't your traditional rim protector. I liked it. I would have even liked the Sabonis floater. That's better. Yeah, that's better than you usually get in crunch time. Yeah. To me, they talked about it post-game, but we all know where they lost that game. That was the first quarter.
Getting down 20. Slates, let's talk about DeAaron Fox.
Yeah.
And I know you and Sam, had an article very early in the season, maybe even right before the season about his future. And then he goes on to Draymond Green podcast and talks about, not signing the extension, about wanting to win. Should Kings fans, blood pressure be up a little bit, hair on their arms stand up a little bit?
Yeah, this is a blood pressure season for them. This is the high pressure season. He just reiterated what not only did we reported preseason, but he said to us, in the article, it isn't just a financial it's not just a financial choice on why he's waiting on the extension. He's waiting on the extension for competitive reasons. It's very clear he wants to see this core, this era of the Kings on an upward trajectory towards winning at the highest level in the NBA. And while I think we all agree they have a lot of potential, what they showed a couple years ago, he made the comment to us, he doesn't want it to just be this memorable one-time flash in the pan. Let's come back in 10 years and talk about the year we broke the streak. He wants us to be a chunk window of contention on a regular basis. And not only do they have to prove that to you, me, and all of us and the fans, they need to prove it to themselves. And clearly their star player needs to see it before the full committal long-term, from a contract standpoint. And, people could think whatever they want about it. He's being pretty transparent.
Absolutely.
Right? And people should value that in today's NBA. This is not behind the scenes, this and that. This is him saying, I want to know I can win here. And when I say win, we're talking conference finals type team. And we'll see. It's early in the year. I think they believe they've built a roster that can maybe make that level, and they've got a chance here to show it. It's going to matter what happens on the court.
Yeah, and to your point, here's the quote, which if you're a Kings fan, this gives you a little pause. I want to make sure that we're in that position to be competing at a high level for a long time, not just fighting for a playoff spot, is what he said. So that brings you to the deadline. Doesn't it seem like a lot of teams are looking for basically the same thing at this deadline, 3-and-D help, which is probably going to drive the price up?
Yes. The one thing I would say that would put the Kings in a little bit better position, two things. Number one, they have more assets than, think about Phoenix or some of your other rivals, the Lakers who they'll see tonight, right? They've kind of depleted their cupboard a little bit. To me, the Kings have a little bit more, capital to use, but also they're a little bit more urgent and desperate potentially. Like this feels like they want to push the fast forward, but maybe a little bit more than some of the other teams out there. What does that translate into? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how, who the best player that will get traded is out there.
Yeah. How active do you think the Kings are?
Currently, based on the year, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think it's weird. So you have the starting buzzer, which we've talked about, right? December 15th.
Yeah.
Kind of like that's the starting point of when trades can get made. And usually that doesn't lead to much activity. This year it did. There was 2 trades. Indiana got Thomas Bryant. The Warriors got Dennis Schroeder. That is, if you've been talking for a few weeks and something on both sides makes sense. For Brooklyn, it was like, get Dennis Schroeder off the roster. We're winning too much. And the Warriors were like, man, we really could need use a starting 2 guard who's averaging 18 a game. They got that done right away at a cheap price. Just cost second round picks. Everything else, like you hear, like Cam Johnson is a name that gets floated, I know, locally and even in other markets. There's just a steeper price tag for that. And Brooklyn's saying, look, you come bowl us away right now, you can probably have Cam Johnson. Mm-hmm. But, we're going to take that up until the deadline to see, if the price tag can keep going up. So to me, yes, the Kings are active in a sense of every team right now is gauging the market. I know right now for, the G League Showcase is happening.
Yeah.
That's like executive heaven down there. I know a lot of conversations are going on. But do I expect something to get done in the next week? No, not necessarily. To me, the activity stops for a while, and then mid-January, I think it kind of starts to pick up.
Anthony Slater joining us. I know this is already becoming kind of cliche because it's been talked about so much, but you had the commissioner talking about, we're looking at all the three-point shooting. LeBron today, I don't know if you were.
I was there. I was
there.
It was the setup for that interview was interesting. It was in the Kings press room. They brought him in, and it was like a round table, like where tonight, if y'all go down and grab a hot dog or one of the pre-game.
Oh, it was down there?
It was at one of those tables. Yeah, just sitting at one of those tables, like 7 media members around. And, he was asked, you're referring to the quote we had, there's too many we're shooting too many bleeping threes in this league, basically, is what he was saying. You could tell he wanted to really go further, but he just didn't want to make monster headlines, so he kind of throttled it back. And
didn't even say something like, I like you guys in Sacramento, but I'm not giving you all that now, or something like that.
He was basically like, I'm not going to save my, state of the league, address for this Sacramento press room right now. It was interesting, but, I took away, I was like, man, he really has some thoughts on the league. And, again, he did not waterfall them out today, but you could tell they're in there. And it's going to be an increased topic, I think, all the way up until All-Star break. Adam Silver has his press conference and really through the playoffs. But remember last year, everybody was killing the flood of offense. And then after the break, the referees really
let things
strangled the game in a lot of ways. And I thought it was better after the break. I don't know if something happens like that this year.
You think All-Star Weekend will be more enjoyable? Not even weekend, the actual game with this new format change?
I don't know. Probably not. I'm among those people who's kind of given up on it. I've skipped it the last 4 years. Yeah.
Man.
Early in my career, I went to 5 straight. It was just this is so spectacular to be at. And I just kind of have gotten cold on it. And it had been in cold weather cities. This year, I have to go.
You got San backyard.
We all have to, right? But am I thinking I'm going to be fired up on Sunday? No, I'm not. The game is just dull. It just is.
And now it's games, right?
Yeah,
We're talking a series
tournaments,
half-ass scrimmages, basically.
The cup is more interesting to me than.
Dang.
Cup's actually, it was pretty good basketball. What's interesting is we're talking about all this scoring and threes and this and that. did we watch the cup? It was
man, that was
I covered a Warriors Rockets game that was 91-90.
Yeah.
The Thunder scored 80 points in the final. The Thunder Rockets semis was like this defensive slugfest. Like there's a lot of defense out there.
Yeah. Anthony, I know the Kings are not where they want to be right now, but as far as the Lakers go, is this season in danger of sliding into the abyss here
for the Lakers?
For the Lakers,
yes, for sure. Although, we've talked about it every week, but it's not like there's some crazy separation in the standings. Like, you mentioned the Kings sitting here one game under. It's like, you have a great week. You go 4-0 the rest of the homestand. You're leaping up, Or the other night, I was looking at the standings when they're up 7. The Kings are up 7 entering the fourth quarter. I'm like, they're the 12 seed at this current moment, but they're facing the 5 seed at the current moment. And if they win tonight, they're a half game back.
Yeah, because
Denver
they were a game and a half, right?
Yeah. So, to your point about the Lakers, I think they can stay in it. They're going to stay in it enough to where they can try to be active at the deadline. They have a couple first rounders. Do they want to put Austin Reeves on the table? And maybe they can, solve themselves. Maybe they can power into the play-in. Last year they got to the play-in. They powered into the first round, but then they lost to the Nuggets. They're just not good enough to really be considered a threat.
All of a sudden, it looks like maybe Darvin Ham wasn't that bad of a coach last year.
Well, I never thought that was the problem. Now, he had lost his stars, right?
Right.
When you lose your stars in the league, clearly LeBron and AD were ready to move on. They were pretty, subtle but obvious in a sense, with some of their comments. So I don't think JJ Redick's the problem either, right? I just think LeBron is about to turn 40 and is not who he used to be. AD's not, a 1A probably on a title team yet, and then they're thin. You're looking at Dalton Connected. I know that's sore for spot for a couple.
Yeah,
for the Kings, but he's probably like their 5th best player right now.
Yeah,
probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
Anthony Slater joining us. A look at what the Warriors did, obviously getting Schroeder. What other moves could they be in on, and could Kuminga actually? Does he have to be part of whatever deal they send out?
He doesn't have to be. Is there a team out there that you have to not only value, hey, get Jonathan Kuminga on, he's at I think $9 million right now.
Yeah.
You gotta, if you're trading for Jonathan Kuminga, I think you're committing to give him a monster extension in the summer. I mean, he's sitting there ready for his big payday. And the Warriors are deciding internally, is that with them? But also if you trade him to a Brooklyn Nets or, name your team, they have to view him as a major trade piece.
Yeah.
He could, Miami's they are being pinned up, the Warriors, as potentially a Jimmy Butler spot. And I would wonder what Miami thinks about Kuminga long term, because Kuminga seems like he could, if you believe in what he can be, he's a great centerpiece of that type of right. Him and some picks and some salary. We're talking the Wiggins salary probably. Sure, people could paint that and hey, they got a nice young wing for their aging star.
Yeah.
But is Miami wanting to give Jonathan Kuminga 4-5 years for $160 million this summer? I don't know.
But your best guess is the Warriors would be willing to do something like that?
Giving Kuminga the contract. They're deciding. They kind of
to move Kuminga for Butler. The Warriors be willing to
I think from my understanding, the front office made the Schroeder deal because it was cheap, easy now, and it plugs a hole. He's starting tonight in Memphis. That game's tipping off as we speak. Okay. He's the starting 2 guard right now.
Yeah.
And they have said, their messaging to me at least is they want to take 2 steps back now and look at what this team looks like with Dennis Schroeder and, think about a bigger picture, big move like a Butler a month from now, a month and a half from now, and if it makes sense. They're trying to showcase Kuminga, not only for their own knowledge, should they pay him, but also for the league. I think we still don't know enough about him because he just hasn't played enough. And that's, partially or fully their fault. They've buried him a little bit too much over his first 4 years.
Yeah. Let me ask you this before, and we'll let you go. I know
you're good
to that game. You've seen Mike Brown for a long time. Draymond Green had those interesting comments this week to DeAaron Fox, where he said, Mike Brown's a great defensive coach. If you guys aren't playing very good defense, that's on you. What have you seen as far as the defense that Mike Brown has brought here and how this team, despite some limitations, they have improved defensively? I think he's doing a good job defensively. I know this is a leading question, but you've seen what he can do. What do you think of the job he's done with his team, specifically defensively?
He has clear philosophy and points he's hitting on. He does not want to give up the paint, right? They're one of the best paint protection teams in the league, even though they don't have a rim protector. That's because he packs it He kind of schemes it up. Now that has left them vulnerable from three. We all know that. But what did you say they are? 14th or something?
14th in rating, defensive rating.
I mean, honestly, it's pretty good considering personnel.
I agree.
Now, at the same time, you can see the other night, it's like, you wondered going into the press conference, are you going to take kind of a positive spin on this? Y'all stayed with the Nuggets. You probably should have won the game. He's just hammering them post-game. And you're like, okay, and I think it's smart by Mike. I think he's decided, like, he's kid gloves are off with this team. Mm-hmm. And if it crashes and burns this year, I think he's going to feel good knowing, I tried my best and I was on them as much as possible to be as good a defensive team as possible. He's trying to wring every drop of positive defensive success out of them as they can. Maybe it wears on the players at times, but the truth is, DeAaron Fox is talking about winning at the highest level, right? Wanting to be a conference finalist, NBA finalist type team. That you have to do what Mike Brown wants you to do defensively.
Yeah. He knows because he's been there. He's done it.
Yes. He knows what title teams show, and I think if this team fails on the defensive end, it's not because he just said, "Hey, well, we'll just be a fun, lighted up offensive team," but we'll see.
Yeah. I was looking at some numbers. I think they're number one in transition defense also, and so when you look at their defensive numbers, a big part of that is they don't give up a lot of easy transition buckets. What do you think they're missing though, as the trade deadline approaches in about 6-7 weeks or something?
Yeah, I think they could use, maybe like a backup four. They try to bring in like a Jay Crowder. Trey Lyles is coming back tonight. Like that spot in the rotation that hasn't produced enough from them because Lyles has been in and out and Crowder's just at a stage of his career. He's not going to be who he used to be. Like something there, I could see or you could even say a backup center, maybe a stretch center. And, either you get more consistent, better play out of like the Keon Ellis and Kevin Huerter spot, or you just get an upgrade in that spot potentially. I don't think it needs to be some major move. I think it could be like a 6th, 7th man type. And they gotta win some of these games. Honestly, their metrics don't look bad.
Right.
They're just not winning at the end of games when we thought that was going to be their strength.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you talk about centers. There are so many centers that appear to be available now, and there are some good ones, but either they have shortcomings or financially doesn't work, and teams just don't seem to need centers. But there are good ones out there this year.
Yeah, Miles Turner. I'm wondering what his like that's. That's a rim protector who shoots threes. That's valuable. I agree with you. But, the other tough thing is like Domantas Sabonis has to play 36 minutes a night at center.
Right.
He's not really a forward. Now, it's funny. Miles Turner, you could see him maybe playing with him because remember they did.
They did that. Yeah.
That was also, then you flash back. It's like, well, in Indiana, they kept saying, hey, do you need to split these two up?
Right.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. All right,
Slates.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, brother.
We working on anything we need to check out coming?
Yeah, I think me and Amick might have a bigger picture King story coming pretty soon. Just on.
Oh snap!
No,
oh man, you got it. Oh shoot!
Doesn't need to. Hey, look,
it'll be something we're talking about on the show. I know there will be something we talk about.
I mean, it would probably look pretty. It would look rosier if it's after a 3-0 week.
Right.
There we go. Yes.
That's how the NBA works, right?
Yeah.
Even going into the Nuggets game the other night, they had won 3 in a row, and it felt like, all right,
things are turning. Yeah,
they had won that one, which they should have. You'd be looking at 4 in a row. Yeah. No, this feels like not even just a huge weekend. You add this Pistons game after a few days off coming up.
That's a big one. And then you got a road game against LA.
I feel like this needs to be at least 3-1 the rest of the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Yep.
All right, brother.
All right.
Thanks. We'll see you.
All right, Slates. Thanks for stopping by.
From the Athletic. Drapes, we're getting closer to tip-off, and the excitement is building. And